Yeah. So welcome to everybody, and I'm very happy to be part of this because I spent half of my lifetime in this monastic institution called Serraje Monastic University. So a very important seat of learning, so to say, where the complete teachings of the Buddha, of the Nalanda tradition, is being studied over an average of 2 decades per student minimum. So yeah, it's an amazing place to be. So yeah, I'm thinking about Sarah. So now and then, remembering my classmates, and now I see already one of them today on the screen. So yeah, it's a very precious time. Yeah, so in the monastery. So now I'm in the big city called London, which is slightly different than the place I spent half of my life. But yeah, so today we meet again. So I'm very happy to be a part of the team again. Well, so His Holiness' contribution to the world that is, been asked to talk about that for the coming 15 minutes. And well, I was thinking initially, I mean, His Holiness being extremely famous, right, in the world, and just to give you a little bit an idea what impacts His Holiness has on being known in the world. Just recently, about a week ago, there was the movie of the great 14th Dalai Lama being, for the first time, was a possibility to view it for 48 hours, right? So the premiere was for 48 hours, and in those 48 hours, like almost 50,000 people watched that particular movie, and for the trailer, it's about 1 million people signed up and watched the trailer. So that gives you a little bit an idea of His Holiness. Even there's a comment that this movie watched over 48 hours about the life of His Holiness, attracting almost 50,000 people within those 48 hours is kind of one of the new kind of records from the virtual world of the media. So that's quite impressive. Yeah. So then I would like to talk about why His Holiness actually became such an incredible, well-known person in the world. Yeah, so that happened quite some decades ago, and it's only started to spread its messages of, as you know, the three principal commitments His Holiness has, yeah, of human values, harmony amongst religions, and a work for the Tibetan culture, Tibetan people. So the last two, more or less, Venerable Keldenla and Rinpoche will deal with. So the first principal commitment of human values has a lot of things in there. Yeah, so His Holiness tries to walk to a world which is more compassionate, a world where there's more tolerance and there's more kind of self-discipline or secular ethics, so to say. Especially in a time we're facing at the moment, there is need for dialogue, there is need for interfaith, and there is need for working together. Yeah? So His Holiness embodies those aspects of methods which we can solve problems in the world. So then how did His Holiness start, and how does His Holiness keep up this kind of message? It's all fundamentally based in the Buddhist doctrine, so to say. Yeah. So His Holiness came up quite some years ago with dividing the Buddhist doctrine in different groups. So we have the groups of the scientific aspects, we have the groups or things related with Buddhist philosophy, and then Buddhist practice, right? So His Holiness explains this incredible system of learning in different levels for society. So that means that you don't really have to become a Buddhist in order to get the benefits out of this incredible system. Yeah, so that's why His Holiness built a bridge with the scientific world, build a bridge with the philosophy in the different cultures. Yeah, so that's quite impressive to see. And not only that, also His Holiness embodies or is actually a manifestation of this amazing kind of way of life. Yeah, you can see then when His Holiness meets with other scientists, and the scientists are quite new to the field of mind and life, or the field of meeting His Holiness. So some of the scientists are quite skeptical initially and think, yeah, okay, we will see, But then when they meet with His Holiness, they see the quite of incredible in-depth knowledge and the reasoning, which is based on the scriptures of philosophy and epistemology. And not only that, His Holiness is also very cheerful, and that's very attractive to many people in the scientific world. So seeing that His Holiness embodies this aspect of human values, then automatically there comes interest. Yeah, and based on that interest, then that's what Nabu Noble also has said. We have to apply His Holiness advice, right? So His Holiness cannot do everything himself. His Holiness had indicated it quite a few times that then a lot of people need to be involved in the aspect of science, in the aspect of philosophy, yeah, in the aspect of Buddhist practice as well. So we have different kind of platforms already been generated, like the Mind and Life, and different universities like Emory University, starting with social, emotional, ethical learning programs. So that's all rooted in this incredible rich teaching His Holiness tried to preserve. Yeah, so we talk about the 14th Dalai Lama, but if we go back to the time of the Buddha, then we come to much more in number, yeah, all for the benefit of preserving this doctrine. Then when His Holiness comes to the West and meets scientists, and especially from the fields of psychology and philosophy, there's a lot of things His Holiness like to share with the scientific world. And then that His Holiness also embodies this incredible rich form of psychology, of training the mind, as His Holiness recently also indicates that there is time for education of the mind, to increase the human values of tolerance, self-discipline, secular ethics, compassion. Yeah, so His Holiness indicated many times, it's my religion, my faith, that kind of aspect that's past tense. Now we have to have education of the mind. So that has been taken on quite well in different universities, and that's why we have this kind of programs of compassion training, emotional and ethical trainings. And then when the scientists actually meet with His Holiness, they also see that His Holiness not only talk about these issues, but you can see His Holiness as basically a manifestation of these teachings. Yeah. So to take one example, Paul Ekman, one of the world leading personalities in facial expressions, when Paul Ekman for the first time met with His Holiness, and Paul Ekman have seen faces all across the globe in different cultures, in different forms or parts of the world. So the first time, so he had seen, he pinpointed down about 10,000 muscular aspects of the face, and that relates with the inner well-being of the person or the emotional life of the person, so to say. So then, having seen so many faces, when he saw His Holiness, he said, I never seen a face like that before. Very interesting. So that means that His Holiness not only talks about these aspects of mind training, but proves the possibility of training your mind in that direction. And that is very appealing to not only the scientific world, but also the world of philosophy. Yeah, so also in the world of philosophy, though, seeing my own background in scientific research, and then studying the traditional way, and as His Holiness embodies it, then it's quite interesting that the way of epistemology and the way of philosophy uses a different methodology, right, than empirical evidence in the scientific world. But when you talk about quantum mechanics, for example, it comes to very similar conclusions. Yeah, so that's very interesting. And not even, it goes to further extent that His Holiness clearly indicates that a lot of modern findings in quantum mechanics is very similar to the view of the mind-only school we have classified as one of the schools of Buddhist thought, or Buddhist philosophy. So that's one very interesting aspect. And then on top of that, His Holiness also is very open-minded to the scientific world and says, if science proves something different than what we have in our scriptures, then we can accept the scientific world. And so that's a very open-minded view of Buddhism, and very open-minded view of its philosophy and its mind science. So based on these views of philosophy and mind science, there's a lot of interest, as I just indicated, and there's a lot of benefits. Yeah, we can see a lot of scientific evidence proving that these types of mind training actually work. And that's a very skillful way of His Holiness to prove that these ancient teachings, bring so much benefit to the modern society. And the modern society, we're facing a lot of problems, a lot of issues, and we have a lot of kind of increase in our external, worlds. of wealth and the right conditions of livelihood. But the inner world is lacking. The development of the inner world is lacking. So at that point, His Holiness makes it very clear that it's for us important to work on that aspect of our human life in the Western world or all across the globe, right? So from the point of view of this aspect of Buddhist mind science and Buddhist philosophy, as His Holiness indicates, there's a lot of things that can be done. And also we have a lot of pilot projects going on at the moment, and that the scientific world actually proves the benefits of love and kindness. It proves the benefits of secular ethics. Yeah, so that's a very interesting way that His Holiness, for the future generation, wants to preserve these kind of teachings within the community of the scientific world. Because if things are established within the universities, then these good values of life, of the humans, they will remain for a longer period of time. And then it's, of course, up and including to us and to the scientific world to, you know, to take that into action, as now Nobula said, that it's extremely important for us to follow His Holiness' advice. As His Holiness says, I cannot do everything myself. I depend on others. I remember when I was in Serme, when His Holiness many years ago gave teachings there, then His Holiness said to the monks, who of you think who is studying well? And of course, all the monks, they want to, you know, show something to His Holiness, and they raise their hands. Then His Holiness said, okay, so it's your responsibility to preserve the Dharma. I cannot do it all by myself. A very strong message. So this is very important for us to see, based on this scientific evidence, we see all around us that these human values can be accomplished in the modern world, you know, and not only can be accomplished, it's up to us to spread it. That's what His Holiness says, you know, I give a teaching, then it spreads. And then all the people, they take another chain to that, and take another chain to that. And that's the way we can work together to establish a better world, you know. So that's quite an incredible, far-sighting vision His Holiness has, you know. So that makes His Holiness so popular. And not only makes His Holiness so popular, because His Holiness says, if I say I'm the Dalai Lama, I feel very lonely because there's only one. But I say I'm one of the 7 billion people on this world, I feel so connected. I feel so comfortable with all the beings around me. So that's a message, right? So we should take that into account and see that His Holiness cannot do everything all by himself. So we should help, yeah, and understand these different viewpoints of His Holiness' 3 principal commitments, yeah, especially with regards to human values, harmonious relations between the different forms of faith and religion, and of course preserving Tibetan culture, and then especially these teachings of the Naladan tradition, where the 2 other speakers will talk about more elaborately. So that's His Holiness' viewpoint from the point of view of the scientific mind science and philosophy. Then on top of that, His Holiness also talks about Buddhism. Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2.
Sorry.
Yeah. So from the point of view of His Holiness, Kasa, so we talked about the scientific aspects, yeah, of Buddhist philosophy, the philosophy, and Buddhist mind science. So those 2 are of universal nature. Then His Holiness also spreads or talks about or teaches the Buddhist doctrine. Yeah, so to an incredible amount of people who are interested, and to give you a little bit idea how many, then recently His Holiness gave an empowerment of Avalokitesvara. So during that empowerment over 2 days, we had about 4.5 million people attending. So that's quite an important indication that not only there's interest in Buddhist mind science, as we just talked about, and interest in Buddhist philosophy, but also the Buddhist practice, thanks to His Holiness' embodiment of this all. And then to finalize and to conclude, is that living here in the UK and living here in a city like London, walking around like this, you stand out, because there's not many monks walking around here in the street like this. But His Holiness is quite often on the BBC, so it has a good reputation. So last weekend when I went out, I got a few thumbs up of people in the car. They saw me, they said, that is, you know. So, and even once in an airport, a huge, heavy, you know, armed policeman came up to me. He said, oh, you know, very serious face, but because that's his job, he said, I think you're doing a very good job. That's all thanks to the kindness of His Holiness, kind of embodiment of these teachings, that people know His Holiness and they see you a part of that. So yeah, that's the things I like to share, that His Holiness has incredible influence from the point of view of mind science, from the point of view of philosophy, from the point of view of human values and harmonious relationships, and on top of that also the Buddhist practice. And regarding the other 2 points, then the other 2 values, then Venerable Keldenla and Rinpoche will brief you more about that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.